The hidden origin of humanity. The three secret creation stories revealed. Adam and Eve, the hidden truth of clay and the rib. Have you ever stopped to wonder where we truly come from? Why our existence is so complex, filled with unanswered questions, and why our soul longs for something that seems to have been lost thousands of years ago? Most of us in the Western world grew up with one powerful story: the creation of humankind, the tale of Adam and Eve, the very first couple. But what if this story, the one that has shaped billions of lives, influenced our understanding of sin, of work, of gender roles, is only a fragment of a much greater mystery? What if the Bible, the very book that we call the foundation of our faith, has left out crucial details that other ancient texts and religions dared to preserve? This is where our journey as seekers of sacred mysteries begins, diving into the oldest enigma of the Bible, the creation of humanity. In the book of Genesis, one of the most well-known passages tells us a clear story. God in his infinite wisdom and power shaped man, Adam, from the dust of the ground, and later formed woman Eve from his rib. It is a narrative that has given us identity, purpose, and dignity. It tells us we are the crown of creation, made in the very image and likeness of God. It gives us a sense of belonging to the divine, a connection to nature, and the responsibility to care for the earth. But when we begin to deconstruct this concept, deeper questions arise. What might the Bible be hiding about our true origin? What has organized religion chosen not to reveal about humanity's beginning? After all, the creation of just one woman out of Adam's rib hardly explains the vastness and diversity of humankind, especially when the Bible itself hints at other peoples and nations. Could it be that the story of Adam and Eve is not the only one? Could there have been other beings, created for different purposes? The narrative of a single couple as the sole origin of humanity prevents us from seeing the bigger picture of our existence. It limits our understanding of the mysteries behind who we really are. And that is where this exploration takes an unexpected turn. Let me invite you to a reflection, a practical action for your own journey. Close your eyes for a moment and think about your greatest desire. Is it healing, prosperity, knowledge? The Bible tells us to pray for these desires, to place them before God. But what if there was another path? What if the very thing that religion has long forbidden, magic, was a hidden shortcut to this power? The fear of magic has shaped our beliefs, but it has also paralyzed us with terror. Imagine how your faith would look if the fear of magic did not exist. Would you see the world differently? Would your relationship with God be more about connection than fear? Because if good and evil are simply two sides of the same coin, then we must ask, what does the Bible really teach about the origin of demons? What secrets does the Book of Enoch, a sacred text that was banned from the biblical canon, reveal about the fall of angels? And how does Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest religions, portray this eternal battle between light and darkness? In our next chapter, we will dive deep into the visions of Enoch and uncover the hidden truth of the fallen angels, a truth the Bible chose to veil. If this idea of a spiritual war resonates with you, write "Heavenly War" in the comments, so I know you are walking this journey with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Faith Prayer so you won't miss the next revelations. The Clay Golem, the forbidden power of Kabbalah. In the first chapter of our journey, we uncovered the mystery behind Adam and Eve and raised the question, what might the Bible have left out about our true origin? Now, as seekers of sacred mysteries, we must travel deeper into Jewish tradition and enter a story so powerful, so dangerous, that religious institutions chose to keep it in the shadows. The legend of the Golem. The tale of the Golem, an animated being molded from clay, lies at the heart of Kabbalah, the mystical branch of Judaism. Unlike the Genesis narrative, which presents God as the sole creator, Kabbalistic tradition reveals something extraordinary. Through hidden knowledge, sacred names, and precise rituals, human beings themselves could replicate the divine act of creation. The Golem is not just a myth, it is a revelation. It shows that creation is not a story locked in the distant past, but a living potential within humanity. The Golem represents the secret knowledge that man can breathe life into the inanimate, tapping into powers that were meant to be divine. Yet, it is also a warning. Every story of the golem reminds us that playing God comes with consequences. What begins as a protective act can easily become uncontrollable, destructive, and dangerous. Think of it this way. The Genesis story tells us we are made in God's image, while the legend of the golem suggests that we also inherited a spark of divine power. Humanity has always been fascinated with creation, whether through science, technology, or mysticism, and the golem embodies that fascination. It is both our gift and our test. Now, let me guide you through a personal reflection and action you can take right now. Think of a project or a goal you want to bring to life. It could be launching a new business, writing a book, or even reshaping yourself into a new version of who you are meant to be. The golem was originally created as a protector, guardian for the Jewish people, but in many versions of the legend, it became too powerful, too dangerous, and had to be destroyed. Ask yourself, how can you bring your own project, your creation, into existence with the heart of a protector, and not let it become a danger to yourself or to others? What intention will you place behind it? Because the power to create is real, but it demands responsibility. The golem teaches us that creation is not only divine, it is also human. But with that knowledge comes a choice. Will we use our creativity to heal, protect, and elevate? Or will we unleash forces we cannot control? This is not just an old mystical tale, it is a mirror reflecting our own world. Today, we see humanity pushing the boundaries of creation, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, technology that redefines life itself. The story of the golem echoes in our modern reality, reminding us that with every act of creation, we carry both promise and peril. And this brings us to the next stage of our sacred investigation. The golem shows us that man can imitate the divine act of creating life. But what if the biblical story itself was already an imitation of something even older? What if the narrative of Genesis was not the beginning at all, but a retelling of a far more ancient myth, a myth born not in Israel, but in Mesopotamia, 4,000 years ago? In the sands of ancient Sumer, the oldest known civilization, lies another version of humanity's creation, a version that is darker, more unsettling, and yet, perhaps closer to the truth. A story where humans were not the crown of creation, but tools, servants created for labor. That is the mystery we will uncover in our next chapter. If the idea that your intentions carry divine power resonates with you, write golem in the comments so I know you are walking this path with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Faith Prayer for the revelations still to come. Enki and the Anunnaki, the Sumerian creation story unveiled. In our previous chapter, we explored the legend of the golem, a mystical creation hidden within the Kabbalah. We uncovered a vision of humanity not as passive recipients of divine grace, but as beings capable of imitating the very act of God breathing life into clay. But now, we must ask an even more unsettling question. What if the biblical story of Adam and Eve is not original at all? What if its roots lie in an even older civilization, a culture whose myths were carved in stone tablets over 4,000 years ago? To answer this, we must journey to ancient Sumer, the cradle of civilization. Here, in the myths of the Sumerians, we find a creation story radically different from the one told in Genesis. According to Sumerian mythology, humanity was not formed out of love, dignity, or divine purpose. Instead, the gods, the mighty Anunnaki, were weary of their labor. They were tired of digging canals, constructing cities, and mining resources. Burdened with endless work, they sought relief. And so, the god Enki, known for his hidden wisdom and cunning, devised a solution. He would fashion humankind from clay to serve as workers, a labor force created for the sole purpose of serving the gods. Think about what this means. In the Genesis story, humanity is the crown of creation, made in the image of God, entrusted with authority and purpose. But in the Sumerian myth, we are nothing more than servants, tools shaped for utility, not love. Our existence was not a gift, but a necessity. This myth paints a darker, more disturbing picture of our origins. If true, it suggests that our longing for freedom, for purpose, for transcendence, is not a sign of divine design, but an act of rebellion. A rebellion against the destiny imposed upon us to serve. Now, I invite you into a personal reflection. Think about a time when you felt used, undervalued, or treated merely as a means to someone else's goal. That frustration, that inner cry for dignity, what if it is more than just a personal feeling? What if it echoes humanity's ancient memory? The myth of Enki suggests that our desire for freedom and self-worth is not just modern frustration, but the very soul of humanity pushing against its original purpose. The Sumerian story challenges everything we have been taught. If humanity was created not as rulers of the earth, but as slaves of the gods, then our struggle for freedom, justice, and meaning is actually our spiritual evolution. Our rebellion against servitude may be the very force that makes us human. But what does this mean for faith? What does it mean for how we understand God, creation, and purpose? The Bible tells us we are beloved children of God, created in His image. The Kabbalah suggests we share in His creative power. And the Sumerians? They tell us we were made to serve nothing more. It is uncomfortable but also powerful. Because if our origin was indeed servitude, then every act of love, of freedom, of resistance against injustice, is a declaration of our true humanity. We are not bound to the chains of the past, we are capable of transcending them. In our next chapter, we will bring these three narratives together. We will compare the Genesis story, the legend of the Golem, and the Sumerian myth of Enki. Each one offers a different vision of who we are, the divine image, the mystical creator, or the servant turned rebel. And ultimately, we will ask, which truth resonates with your soul? If this vision of humanity's hidden purpose speaks to you, write Samaria in the comments so I know you are with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Faith Prayer so you won't miss the final revelation. The true Genesis. Discover your origin and purpose. Our journey as seekers of sacred mysteries has brought us to a turning point. We have walked through three very different visions of humanity's creation. The book of Genesis, where we are the crown of creation, made in the very image of God. The legend of the Golem, where humanity can replicate the divine act of creation, but only at great risk. And the Sumerian myth, where we were shaped not out of love, but out of necessity as workers created to serve the gods. Three visions, three truths, three destinies for the human soul. But which one is real? Which story holds the essence of your origin? As a guide through these mysteries, my role is not to hand you an absolute answer. My role is to give you the tools to search for your own truth. And the first step in that search is to listen not to me, not to ancient texts, not even to tradition, but to your own inner voice, the quiet whisper of your conscience. The Genesis story offers us a powerful vision, humanity as the image bearer of God, entrusted with caring for the earth and ruling over creation. It gives us dignity, identity, and purpose. Yet it also carries a cost. Eve is created from Adam's rib, a narrative that has shaped centuries of hierarchy and submission, especially for women. It grants us a destiny of greatness, but demands obedience to a structure that has long been questioned. The legend of the Golem, however, calls us to something different. It suggests that our power to create is not only divine, but human. We are not simply receivers of life, we are co-creators, capable of shaping reality itself. But this gift carries danger. Creation without wisdom can spiral into destruction. The Golem is both hope and warning, showing us that our greatest strength is also our greatest responsibility. And then, there is the myth of summer, a story far older than the Bible, one that strips away the comfort of divine love. Here, humanity was not created to reign, nor to create, but to serve. We were born into labor, molded as tools for the gods. Yet even in this dark vision, there is a spark of hope. Our rebellion, our longing for freedom, our refusal to remain bound to servitude, becomes our path to evolution. It is through resistance that we become truly human. So where does that leave us? Between three narratives, three destinies, and three truths, we are faced with a choice. Perhaps the question is not which story is the ultimate truth, but which truth resonates most deeply with your soul. Now, I invite you into the most important reflection of this journey. Close your eyes for a moment, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, Which of these narratives feels most alive within you? Do you believe in a divine origin, created out of love and purpose? Do you feel drawn to the mystical promise of creation, the idea that you hold the power to shape your reality? Or do you see in yourself the spirit of rebellion, the refusal to accept servitude, the fire that pushes humanity toward freedom? There is no right or wrong answer, there is only your answer. The true Genesis may not be written in any book, but within your own soul. So I ask you, what do you believe? What does your spirit tell you about your origin? If this reflection touched something within you, write "my origin" in the comments so I know you have walked this entire journey with me. Like this video, you are ready to uncover the mysteries within yourself. Subscribe to Faith Prayer so you won't miss what comes next, and share this message with others who are searching for their own truth. Because perhaps the true Genesis is not the story we were taught, but the one our soul has always known.